I think that a lot of people will say, "Oh my gosh, you lost the Premier League after FA Cup," and I'm like, older me, see, younger me would be like, "Oh my gosh, FA Cup Premier League, God, that is horrible! What a huge shock! Oh my God, this is terrible." But older me is like, "Who gives a damn? It's a domestic trophy." Like, and that's why I say that. And people disagreed with me. Liverpool losing to Plymouth Argyle was a blessing in disguise because it is impossible to win four trophies. It's impossible. That is physically, there is no team that can win all four competitions. Now, England are a rarity where they have two domestic cups. So and this is way before the FA Cup. I said, since you've made the Karabuki Cup final, you have to sacrifice that FA Cup to help your league campaign and potentially your UCL campaign. So my thing was, the FA Cup, I don't think is that valuable. I think it is made valuable based on English propaganda and how old the competition is and its marketing. But it is no more valuable than a Coppa del Rey, DFB Pokal, or Coppa Italia.
Okay. I mostly agree with everything you said, but I don't think what I was going to say contradicts that.
Mm.
So it depends on who you are. The importance of the FA Cup depends on who you are. So, for instance, if you're a Wigan that one time, or if you're maybe now a Sunderland, or maybe even like as low on the in the Premier League table as, let's say, Crystal Palace, you might say like Aston Villa, Newcastle, a team that hasn't won in however long. Like the FA Cup means something
Mm.
because it's an opportunity to win a trophy. It's a trophy that if Europe doesn't care about, your country cares about. And even if your country doesn't necessarily care about it, your fans will care about it because winning trophies is something that's more rare. If you're a team like maybe Manchester City or Chelsea that are relatively new money, let's say, the more things you win, the better. So you
Mm.
want to scoop and grab and hoover up as many things as you can to justify the fact that you're new here. If you're a Liverpool, if you're a Manchester United, if you're an Arsenal, it depends on the context of your season, of your period, of your moment. For instance, if you're Arsenal or if you're a Liverpool right now, an FA Cup matters within the context of, is this for a treble? Is this for a double? It adds to a successful season, but it doesn't make a successful season in ways
Mm.
that it would for a Brentford. If Brentford won the FA Cup, it's not just a successful season, it's one of the greatest seasons they've ever had in their history, right? Um, so it depends on who you are, it depends on what your objectives are. So for Liverpool, the FA Cup would have only been valuable or would be valuable in the context of a quadruple, in the context of a treble,
Mm.
like a true treble, because people might say the League Cup
No, it's not. It's
isn't
not.
the main domestic cup. It's the FA Cup that's the main one. But if Liverpool were to win the Champions League, the Premier League, and if they beat Newcastle in the Carabao Cup final, then I guess people would say that's a treble, and it is a treble of sorts. Um, so again, them getting knocked out of the FA Cup for their season is not that big of a deal. For a Chelsea getting knocked out of the FA Cup, that's a big deal because the best thing you could probably win this season is the Conference League now. You're
Mm.
not going to win the league. So losing to Brighton, that's bad. If you're Arsenal, and we talked about this in the past, the context of your season kind of demands that you need to win something with this core, with this team. Especially if you're Arteta, the last FA Cup you won doesn't really hold that much weight, and that's kind of the bad thing about the FA Cup. Like if Arteta would have won a league
Mm.
instead of that FA Cup way back when, then like he could really, I'm a Premier League winner. Like you would hold that with some level of esteem, even if it wasn't your team, even if you didn't win it with the players that are there now, it still means something. But that FA Cup, anybody can get hot for 6 or 7 games, you know. So that's the team outlook. As far as football itself, like, yeah. Like, yeah, it's a question I've always asked is, would you rather win the Europa League or the FA Cup? And I think a lot of people, like, it depends on your level of, how would you, what's the word is, it depends on your, like, your Winston Churchill quotient. How much do you care about England and Englishness and Britain and Britishness relative to the wider footballing atmosphere or landscape? If you care more about your club than you do about football itself, which tends to be how, like, especially Chelsea fans, like, and Chelsea fans who are there, like, they care a lot about Chelsea, to where, like, I don't even care about England. I don't even care about international football.
Oh yeah, no, the Liverpool fans especially. Yeah.
I just want to watch Chelsea. Then yeah, like, winning the FA Cup is something that's very important, and the FA Cup means a lot. But if you're someone who enjoys football in a more worldly context rather than a extremely local context, then the FA Cup it's something. Of course, it's not nothing, but it isn't more prestigious than winning a Europa League. It's not more prestigious than winning a Copa del Rey or a Coppa Italia or a Pokal. It's not. It's equal with that. It's just the English version of it. But if you swallowed the English sauce, then the FA Cup becomes almost like the Champions League, which is like some outlandish nonsense.